Hello ukulele players, it caught me by surprise there. Welcome back to Beginner Ukuleles with me, Tim. We are going to be looking at a classic from before I was born, the 59th Street Bridge Song, better known, at least in my family, as Feeling Groovy. And before we go any further, let's hear how it sounds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow down, you move too fast. You gotta make it the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do-do-do-do, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy. There we go. So folks, that was Feeling Groovy by Simon and Garfunkel. Or the proper name is the 59th Street Bridge Song. Me and my brother used to get really confused. Is it the 59th Bridge Street Song or the 59th Street Bridge Song? The latter is apparently correct, but I've spent a long time calling it the 59th Bridge Street Song. So Feeling Groovy is what we call it here. Welcome back to Beginner Ukuleles with me. We're going to look at how to play this song today. I hope you're all doing okay. I've tried to do get rid of the talky introduction to start with and just play some music straight away. I can see we've got a few people online. Thanks very much for joining me. We've got shout outs to the Macclesfield Flints and Lewis McCall and Derek and Mel. Already said good morning on the chat. Great to see you guys. So this is the beginner ukulele session. However, that song we just played, or I just played, it feels quite complicated. It's a nice, sweet song, but it's got a bit of a groove and it's got some chords you might not recognise. However, there are only 3 of them, 3 chords, sure you can manage, and the pattern that they come in repeats all the way through this song. It's one of those songs that just plays the same chords round and round and round. That doesn't make it a bad song. It makes it a really well written song, because simple is always better if that does the job. Occam's razor, the simplest way is generally best. Not quite a paraphrase of Occam's razor. Never mind, the scientists can correct me. We are going to need to learn one new chord, I suspect. Because if you're a beginner ukulele player, I will expect, if you're not an absolute beginner, you'll have played something before. And if you haven't, then now's the time to start. We need a C major chord, which most of you should be familiar with. It's the 3rd finger, normally, on the 3rd fret of the string nearest the floor on the ukulele. We're also going to need an F major chord, 2nd fret on the string nearest your head, an open string, 1st fret, and then another open string. And then we're also going to need something called a G7 sus4, which I should go into detail more later on. There's that one. Before we go any further though, make sure you've got a ukulele and you're in tune. Check your strings on your ukulele sound like mine. The names of the strings on a uke are G, C, E and A. We always say good cows eat asteroids because the image is so silly that you're not going to forget it. So your G should sound like this. Listen out for any, if yours is going, then it's slightly higher than mine, then we call that sharp. You need to flatten it. And if yours is sounding, then it's flat. It's a bit lower than mine. We need to sharpen it upwards. You should get your string sounding exactly as mine. If you can't do that with your ears, and it takes a bit of practice, perfectly possible to do though, then a tuner is your friend. You can find a tuning app on any smartphone these days. You can even use standalone tuners that plug in or with a microphone. You can even use another instrument to compare the two sounds. But that was our G. Then we've got a C. That's the lowest string on the ukulele. It's not as normal the case with a guitar-like instrument. Normally the low strings are on that side of the instrument and the high strings on that side. In this case, on a standard ukulele, we've got the low string almost in the middle. Very odd. They call that re-entrant tuning, and it's a particular feature of these instruments. That's our C. Then we've got an E. Make sure your strings are sounding the same. And then we've got an A. And one after the other should sound like this. Ba, 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 ba. Good. If you're not quite in tune yet, pause the video, get yourself in tune, and then we're ready to play along. Okay, let's have a look at the chords for this. We're going to transition to our chord sheet. The camera is not fantastic on this version, but it's a better frame rate for some reason. This one I'm going to adjust so it zooms in on my fingers. There, that's about okay. So, what do we need to play this? Well, as you can see on the chord chart, we've got 4 chords written down, but 2 of them are the same, and those 2 are the C major. So we're in the key of C, but we don't start on a C. A little bit unusual, not uncommon though. We need to start on an F major, then go to a C, then go to this new G7 sus4 chord. I promise you it's not that hard, don't panic. And then go back to our C. And that's the sequence we're going to play all the way through this piece. I don't think you're going to have much trouble with these chord changes, and you'll see why in a minute. One of your fingers actually stays in the same place all the time. In fact, your finger's probably going to get tired from not moving rather than trying to move too quickly. I find after a little while of playing this, either my ring finger or my little finger cramps up, and you'll see why soon. The real challenge of this piece is the strumming, but we can still make it pretty straightforward. But it's such a simple piece. The real essence of this is in the groove. Well, the clue's in the title. Feeling groovy. We've got a really strong swing to this piece. So we'll be going into that in a minute or two. Let's just go through those chords to start with. So our first chord is going to be an F major. Now normally we play an F major like this. Second finger, second fret on the string nearest your head. That's on the A, that's on the G. Then we've got an open C. Then your first finger goes onto the first fret of the E string. And normally we'd have an open A string. That's our normal F major chord. However, in this case, I'm actually going to add in either my little finger or my ring finger to the third fret on the A string. Compare the normal F to this F. We're not adding in any new notes because the note I've added in is actually a C. It's the same note as this one, but an octave higher. Previously it was an A, which is the same note as this one. Exactly the same note, in fact. So I've just swapped one of the notes for another. So we've not changed the chord. It's still an F major. It's still actually a a second inversion of an F major. No, a first inversion, because we've got a C in the bass. Don't worry about that. But there's nothing really changed about this chord except the fingers that I'm putting down. We also get that nice high note coming in rather than just a low C. The reason I'm doing that, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference, but the next chord I'm going to is a C major. There. And that finger was already down from that particular version of the F. So you'll see in these chord charts on this sheet, which you can find on the website, by the way. Link should be in the description. If not, I will update it after this video is done. It's also in the chat. You can see this F is written down as this slightly unusual version of it. Then we've got our normal C. So that change is just a question of taking away your second and first fingers from the fretboard. Should be straightforward, hopefully. So that finger then stays down. I'm going to use my little finger to start with. And with this song, instead of having the normal position of having my thumb right on the back of the neck, I tend to bring my whole thumb round and rest the neck of the ukulele across the gap between my fingers and thumb. Gives me a bit more of a solid connection with the neck of the ukulele. However, the key thing is that your fingers are arched around the corner of the ukulele. If you use your thumb at the middle of the neck, that's fine. If you use your thumb further around the neck, that's fine. But the key thing is that your fingers can arch over the strings that they're not playing. So those are our first two chords, F and then C. And some of you are probably already skipping ahead to the next chord, which is a G7 sus4. Now normally when we play a G chord, we play like this. Open G, second fret on the C, third fret on the E, second fret on the A. That's our normal G chord. Those of you who have played a bit more, you might have also known a G7 chord. We're adding an extra note. We're adding the seventh in as well as the first, third and fifth of the chord. That's open, second fret, first fret, second fret. Like an upside down version of the G, how I think of it. But in this case we've got a G7 sus4. So what the heck is a sus4 chord? I'm going to delve very briefly into theory. It's for your own benefit, trust me. A sus4 chord takes a normal major or minor chord, takes the third of that chord, so not the root, not the root, not the fifth, but the third. That is the note that makes it into a major or minor chord. That's the one I'm changing there. But instead of changing it to a major or minor, I'm going to change it up to a fourth there, to that note. In this case, I'm just adding my little finger onto the A string on fret number 3. That is a G sus4, a suspended fourth. I've taken the fourth of the chord and suspending it over the rest of the chord instead of the normal major or minor third. That's what a sus4 is. I won't go too much into more depth than that, but it's worth knowing what these names of chords mean so you can figure out. If you know what a G sus4 is, you know what a sus4 is, then you can figure out what an A sus4 is. But not today. So that's our G sus4, but we need a G7 sus4. So all we do is play a G7 chord, get that in focus, and then raise the third up to a fourth. So that ring finger now isn't necessary. I'm using my little finger for that one. You could equally well use your ring finger for that third fret chord note. So there is our G7 sus4 chord. Now you may have noticed that it also has that third fret on the A string. And then the next chord we go to after the G is a C. Also has that third fret on the A string. So all of our chords have that fret down on the A string. So that means you can pick one of those fingers, either the ring finger or the little finger, whichever feels most comfortable for you, and keep it down all the way through this piece. So our first chord is the F. Then we take the first and the second fingers away to the C. Put them back down again in a slightly different position for the G7 sus4. First finger is actually the same place as it was before. The second finger is moved over by one string. And then we take them off again to go back to the C. So we get F, C, G7 sus4, C. And there you have. If you played along with that, you've just played almost the entire song. It's not so bad, is it? So each one of these chords is going to last for 2 beats. We've got 4 beats in a bar, and it's going relatively quickly, this kind of tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, dum, 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 F, C, G7/4, C, F, C, G7/4, C. Now, as you can see, saying G7/4 takes a bit of time, so I will probably just refer to it as a G, and what I mean is the G7/4. So, where else can we take this? We can just play this song by doing that. 1 strum per chord. Slow down, you move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. That works okay. So that is our first step. Getting those changes right. Now, although it's a simple pattern, it's very easy to get yourself... let's get that in focus again. It's very easy to get yourself confused. It's very easy to get yourself confused because the F and the G7/4 are so similar in feel for your fingers. It's quite easy to get them mixed up. So we're always going to start with the F every time we start a new line, and then the G7/4 is the second of the pair of chords, and then there's a C between each of those chords. Let's just do that a few times through. Take it nice and slow. We'll start with just 1 strum per chord, and that's 2 beats we hold it on for. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, C, G, C, F, C, G, C. Keep going. Good. All right. So that's the basic outline of the chord sequence. Now, what we want to do is get the groove going. So we're going to move on to the strumming patterns that are on the top of that sheet. That first one was just a warm-up pattern. Now, everyone should be able to get the next pattern. This is what's labelled as the easy pattern. And it doesn't really have the groove for definite, but you can capture it a little bit. What we're going to do is just do a downstroke on every beat. Rather than once per chord, we're going to do it twice per chord. So if you're counting in 1, 2, 3, 4, you're just going to play a downstroke every time you say a number. So it's going to be 2 strums per chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. F, C, G, C, F, C, G, C. Once more, F, C, G, C. Okay, hopefully that wasn't so bad. If that's tricky, really slow it down. F, F, C, C, G, G, C, C. Get your left hand used to those changes. Your right hand should have a fairly easy time doing that strum. It's just conducting the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Doing a downstroke every time you count a number. That will get us through this song if necessary. It sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slow down, you move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. So in this case, the groove comes from the melody, and the main beat comes from the ukulele. It's just on the beat. Dum, dum, dum. The melody though is dancing around between those beats. Da, 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 da. There's some funny rhythms going on there, and that's because of this strong swing, which is where the groove comes from. So if you have a look at the medium pattern, I'm not going to go into I'm going to go into a little bit of detail about these patterns, but you may find that the medium one is pretty medium, as in it's not that easy. I tried it out with my wife last night. She was absolutely fine with the chords, absolutely fine with the easy strumming pattern, and the medium one took her a good 10-15 minutes to get her head round, and we didn't try the Adventurous one. We'll see how we get on. So the medium one introduces an upstroke. Now if you're playing downstrokes already, your hand is already doing an upstroke. It has to, because it has to get back up to the top of the ukulele in order to do the next downstroke. If we're playing a straight rhythm, that upstroke comes exactly in between the 2 downstrokes. If I just allow my fingers to catch the strings on the way up as well, then I'm playing my upstrokes. I'm actually using my fingers. You could use your thumb. I don't like the sound of it as much. It's a bit of a warmer, rounder sound. I like the crispness. Just using the backs of my fingertips and the nail. That is a straight rhythm. But for a swing rhythm, we need to move that upstroke a bit further along in each beat. So instead of being exactly in between the downbeats, it's more towards the next downbeat than the first downbeat. So straight pattern, down, up, 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 down, up. Swung pattern, down, up, 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 down. Can you hear I've pushed that upstroke to just before the next downstroke? Ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. We have to, if we're going to count it, we're going to be counting the ands after the numbers 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. But we need to make sure that that and is coming later in the beat than we would normally count it. We'd normally count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now we want to be counting 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Really important for this song. I think putting a swing in actually makes the tempo feel slower. But if this is the tempo of the numbers, ba 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 ba, that's a straight pattern, and here's the swung pattern, ba 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 ba. It somehow feels more relaxed to me. The tempo is exactly the same, but the feeling of it is a bit more chilled, a bit more relaxed, a bit more groovy. So we're really going for that groove here. So let's try strumming all of the downs and the ups. So this is not written on your sheet, but this is just down, up, 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 down, up. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... That's our basic swing pattern. Now we don't always want to play every upstroke. So the medium pattern only has upstrokes in the second bar of the pattern. It sounds like this. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. That second bar of that pattern is actually our classic ukulele strum, our down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. But it is swung down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. But we're playing it a little bit more slowly at the moment. Here's that pattern again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. Now the first bar, you don't really hear the swing. It's only in the second bar that it happens, and there's also one thing missing. We're missing a down. And I guarantee if you haven't cracked that straight away, that's going to be the problem. Missing that downstroke makes you want to play down, up, down at the end of the phrase because your hand wants to do that nice down that it normally does. But that down is missing. We have to play it up, down, up so we can start the next bar on a down. So that second bar is worth taking on its own. Just do it really slowly without any chords. Mute your strings, just touch the strings. Down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. So in that miss, I'm doing a motion of a down, but I'm not hitting the strings, which keeps my hand going in this this robotic just down, up, down, up, down. That's the movement of my hand, but I'm not always connecting with the strings. Just like at the start, we weren't connecting with the strings on the upstrokes. This time, I'm not connecting with the strings on one of the downstrokes. So get your hand moving in that motion. And then I'm going to connect with the strings on down, down, up, down, 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 up, miss, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Really slowly now. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and down, down, up, down, 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 up, miss, up, down, up, miss, up, down, up. I'm just repeating that last bar of the pattern and the medium pattern there. The first bar is just like the easy pattern, so you should be absolutely fine just strumming the downbeats. So all together, really slowly, that medium pattern, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up. Hopefully that makes sense. There is a wrinkle that you may have spotted. Normally we'd change to the C in the second bar on the downstroke, but we're not playing the downstroke. So I'm anticipating that C to put it in where that upstroke comes and not where the downstroke would normally be. So that C is slightly earlier than we would be playing it otherwise. All the other chords are nicely on the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4, and. But I've moved that C slightly ahead. That's what it means with use a swing rhythm, long downstroke, short upstroke, and anticipate the last C chord if you can. It's a really cool element to add in that swing to your strumming pattern. So, how does it sound if you do that adventurous pattern? I don't always, in the medium pattern, I don't always play it consistently when I'm singing. Let's see if I can do it. 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and slow down, you move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. Kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. That upstroke on the C actually fits in with where the lyrics land. So on fast or last or stones, that is actually where that melody note lands. So you can time it along with that. So, hope you're getting on okay. I can't see any complaints in the chat yet, so I hope I'm not going too fast. Remember, you can pause the video and go and practice. Let's have a brief look at the adventurous strumming pattern. This is approximately what I play when I'm just not thinking about it. But as I said before, I'm not always 100% consistent in the way that I strum this. The main thing is that the upstrokes are there, and every now and again they connect. Most of the time though it's just the downstrokes, and then every now and again I just play the upstrokes and I miss out those downs and I get that ba kind of feeling. As long as your upstrokes are in that swung pattern, it doesn't really matter which ones connect and which ones don't, because they'll all sound good. As long as you've got that groove, that swing going in your right hand, anything will sound okay. But the loose approximation of what I go for is down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. If you watch my right hand, it's just going exactly the same motion, only sometimes it's not touching the strings. I can't overemphasize how important that technique is of having a consistent right hand strumming pattern and then just missing out some of the notes. If you stop when the notes stop and you go da, 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 you'll get trapped on one side of the ukulele and the stroke will then naturally fall in the wrong direction and you'll completely lose your groove, your sense of the rhythm. You've got to make that really simple. Ba, 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 ba. However many times I emphasize that to my pupils, no one ever quite believes me. It's so important for a guitarist, for a ukulele player, for any rhythmic player, get a consistent right hand motion before you try and work out the complexity, because then you can miss out most of the beats. Just connect with a few of them and they will be perfectly in the right place. We can do crazy patterns like the really fast semiquaver strum. I'm just doing that the whole time and I'm just pressing down the strings when I want a note to come. This time I'm using my left hand to choose whether to play the note, but I could equally well miss with my right hand. It's really powerful. All it comes down to is a consistent right hand movement. Enough teaching, let's do some music. So our Adventurous pattern, or our medium pattern, has that swing built into the strumming pattern. If you're going to play the easy pattern, then the swing is built into the melody. You've still got a really important role in defining those strong beats, but you're going to have to swing it, get the groove from the melody. Now, it's 9:30, so we're nearly ready to have a playthrough. Those of you who want to take this any further, you can, of course, take it as far as you want. I added a little bit of finger picking to start with. Same chords on the left hand. The right hand is doing a pinch to first with. I'm using my thumb and my middle finger to play the G and the E strings. And then I play my first finger on the C and then my ring finger on the A. And then I do one more with my first finger after that. So it goes pinch, first, third, first, pinch, first, third, first. But again, swung. Anticipating that last C chord by doing that pinch slightly earlier. So I'm pinching every time there's a new chord. I won't go into that too much detail. If you fancy taking that further, go for it. In which case you don't need necessarily a beginner ukulele tutorial. Or if you feel like really pushing yourself, have a go. Thumb does the G, first finger does the C, third finger does the E, ring finger does the A. Normally, we break that rule sometimes. The other little thing I did was just went up to the 7th fret, back down to 3rd, and then a little walk up. On open 2nd, open 3rd, open 5th, open 7th. That's how we capture the original feeling of the song. Really do go back and listen to the original song. It's a great sweet little number. So we're nearly ready to play through it. Let's just do once through the verse and interlude using our medium pattern. So strum along with the easy pattern if you prefer. Let's do the second verse. I've done enough slow downs. It's good advice though, slow down. If you can't play it perfectly fast, play it perfectly slowly first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I've come to watch the flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do feeling groovy. Ba da 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 da, feeling groovy. And then we go back to the verse again. Okay. Now, if you're anything like me, that little finger now is complaining a little bit because it's been stuck in the same place for way too long. In which case, give it a rest, give it a shake. Try your ring finger instead. It's not good for one finger to be cramped in the same position, putting pressure for a long time. So try swapping your fingers over. It is quite hard work for that one finger. Okay, shall we have a play through the whole song? Yes? Really? Are you sure? Don't do pantomime, Tim. I'm going to get my wife to join in because it's always more fun having more musicians. So, don't nobody go nowhere. It's almost like she was ready and waiting. So, you okay there?
Somewhere? Maybe.
Somewhere over there. Can't quite see your head.
Okay, hang on.
The camera setup isn't ideal. Anyway, guys, I really hope you've had a good session. It's a really fantastic little song to play. Simple chords. The trick is in the groove. So spend some time getting the swing in your right hand motion, working out which pattern you're going to play. You've got to do it so it becomes automatic. The final verse, the melody goes into triplets where we space 3 notes out in the space of 4 beats. Dappled and drowsy. Sorry, it's actually 3 notes out in the space of 2 beats in this case. Dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep, let the... That's not easy to sing and play. If you want to make it easier, you could strum those triplets. Dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep, let the... But a little bit cheating. If it makes it easier, it'll still sound great like that. But if you can keep the swing going, dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep, let the morning time drop or its petals on me. It wasn't perfect, but you get the idea. It's actually quite challenging. You can take this to a good level there. Okay, join in, please, if you don't know any of the other words on the ba-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Feeling groovy.
Didn't give any warning there, not even a chance to warm up. So let's give this a go. The original song is really quite fast, so we're going to pitch it sort of a medium level here. I don't want to move too fast after all. You ready?
Yeah.
A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, and 3, and 4. Not too fast. Do a little twiddle here. 2, 3, 4. Now slow down. You move too fast. You gotta make the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I've come to watch your flowers growing. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do-do-do-do, feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. Dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you. All is groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Come on, you do it. Couple more times too. Into the twiddle at the end. Last time. Yeah, nailed the last chord. That's the important chord to nail. Okay, we had fun. I hope you guys did too. Keep it a bit shorter today. Let me know how you get on. Let me know what songs you'd like to do. And I hope you have a really good day. See you again next time.